Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community, make sure y'all go check out Mekhi Body by Jeremy.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Yoli. Happy Friday. But unfortunately for all the other fan bases, this is FYF Friday. And if you don't know what that means, it's kind of like your feelings. I do joke memes to start the show. It is just to be fun. I found this one and it kind of hits home. Most uninspiring man in sports. He's a high school level head coach from a Chicago Bears insider. Oof. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy my show, Yoli, because I like making it fun. Um, I did find this one out. Why don't Vikings eat cereal every time they get close to the bowl? They choke. Oh God, it's awful. Good afternoon, smoking dad. And then of course, glad to see it, Brent. Um, Maybe I'll hold the in-depth profile till Monday. I don't know because you guys asked for Mekhi. I got it done. Uh, I might start the profiles up on Monday. This might be more about having fun. And then it was the intimidation factor of the fan base mascots. There's Bears, there's Lions, there's Vikings. Oh, they're scary. Oh, the Packers. Somebody packing a suitcase. LOL. Ouch. Yes, it's been one of those weeks. I love the fact that I can say a former Lions backup is still the passing yardage leader for a season in Chicago. Eric Kramer. I cannot say that enough, people. That means that the Lions have developed better backup QBs than the Bears have developed starters. Buddy Conquito, hello. Good to see you. Was she packing a lunch? It looked like a suitcase. Might have been an overnight bag. Don't know. So, realistic hierarchy of the NFC North. Uh, Coaches, where do you have it? Let's be honest. If you go by overall results in their coaching career, who's first, who's second, third, then fourth? If you ask me, and I've got my nickname for one of them, well, for all of them actually, because the Vikings coach is KOC. It's funny anyway. Yeah, I know. It is F your feelings Friday. You know, gotta have fun with it. So I'm getting back into that mode, getting ready. Because pretty soon the rookies report to camp. And right after that, everybody else does. And it's all good news after that. So out of, I'm going to rank them, and I'm going to give somebody a little more credit probably than I should. And that's Matt LaFleur. He did have 3 13-win seasons back to back to back. Yes, he has a losing record versus Dan Campbell. Where is it? He is 2-4 versus Campbell. Then there's Coach Everlose, but he has a 500 record versus Campbell. Awkward. You got KOC. Oh, yes. Offensive injuries, poor second half play calling. There was a whole bunch of stuff, and that's on both sides of the ball, not just defense, offensively too. Um, our worst third down conversion rate, third quarter. Our worst third down given up rate, third quarter on defense. Most passing yards, most scoring. What would their records be if they flipped roster situations with Everlose and LaFool? Um, I think it would be exactly the same because the roster in Chicago has not been great except on defense, and LaFleur is an offensive coach. So I don't think that works. I think it actually might be worse because they might not have gone for the defensive guys they got. I'm trying to be realistic about it. LaFleur was blessed with a Hall of Fame level quarterback that has a Super Bowl ring and had plenty of weapons around him. Yeah, Decker and Ragnow were hurt, but the tackles weren't the issues. The guards were in that game, if you remember right. And a lot of that had to do because Glasgow had to move to center. And while he was good enough to do it, it's not the same as having Frank Ragnow there. Matt Henry, good afternoon to you, sir. So my rankings for the coaches, and I'm going to throw my nicknames in there. It's Matt LaFluke at 1, MCDC at 2, because right now he still has a losing record through 3 seasons for overall team record. So I got him at number 2. Number 3, it's KOC. They've made the playoffs. So far, the basement dweller of the division right now is Chicago, but that could change because on paper, their offense looks fantastic. I'm not going to lie. It looks great, but we've seen this before. Where on paper, a team looks like they could be the next big thing and come out and fall flat on their face. Well, let's look at it this way. We had 5 losses last year, and in all 5 of them, in 4 of them, Ragnow was hurt. We won 1 game while Ragnow was out, and that was the Raiders game. Paul Jones in the building. Yeah, I understand that. Well, we'll see, because on paper, they look better this year, correct? If they do better, guess what? Then it's warranted. But right now, he has a better record than MCDC in this division, in the in MCDC's tenure. And I'm talking about overall team record. So that's what I'm basing it out off of. It's 1A, 1B, really, because if you look what Dan Campbell was handed and what he was able to do, it's amazing. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think we'd be sniffing a win in the playoffs until this season, and we went all the way to the NFC Championship game with one of the worst defenses, passing wise, in the NFL. We were 29th, boys. And I'm not just giving LaFleur credit. Remember, they went to the playoffs last year with a first year starter. So it is what it is. Everybody should be ahead of Harbaugh. Harbaugh has not coached a game in 8 years in the NFL. I understand McVay won a Super Bowl. LaFleur has not. I have McVay ahead of those. I have Kyle Scamaham in my top 10, but even though I hate him, good enough to coach a regular season roster all the way to the Super Bowl and then forget how to coach. That's the second time he's done it. They won a Super Bowl. That's all that matters. Andy Reid's the best coach in the NFL right now, hands down. Bill Belichick is not in it, but Bill Belichick wouldn't. Oh, you were talking about John. I forgot about Jim being on it. Yeah, John Harbaugh's a good coach. He's in my top 10. 100%. If it wasn't for Brad Holmes and his scouting department and what they've done, and John Dorsey is a bigger part. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Yes, we all know when he subbed in, and that was with Doug Peterson, who's been doing a fine job, hasn't he? Because that's what a GM's job is to do, is to assemble a roster through the draft and free agency that makes your job easier. Right. There we go. There it is. Man, Henry. John Harbaugh, Andy Reid, um, Sean McVay. As much as I hate anybody hates it, they're Super Bowl winners. They should be ranked above everybody right now. But 8 and 9, it's debatable on whether you have it as Dan Campbell or Matt LaFleur. 100%. But they belong in the top 10 because they've achieved results with their teams. I am being as realistic as I can, and I appreciate everybody in the chat right now. Do you think he is? That's your question. Dad, do I think Mekhi Wingo is a Hall of Famer already? I'm going to say no on my end. My opinion is he's a developing player. He was drafted in the 6th round for a reason. Now, granted, he fell way past his draft projections, which was anywhere from 92 to 129. But there is some things I've seen that I think he's great. Yeah, Trent Dilfer, that's not a coach. There's a difference there. Can't get it at quarterbacks. because Trent Dilfer is one of the most overrated quarterbacks ever. Oh, I don't think he's better than Aaron Donald. But I do have my draft profile wrote, and I already emailed it, so I can just pull it up here on the computer and read it verbatim. But we've got a couple of guys who are not here that was asking for these players, and I'd rather not do a draft profile unless everybody. Oh, I understand. Arizona did do a lot of things good, but they were a 4-win team last year. The most exciting 4-win team I ever saw. And guess what? Only one of those wins was with Kyler Murray. 3 of them was with Josh Dobbs. So while we can sit here and say, "Oh yeah, Kyler Murray did great," he was kind of awful. He had 1 win. Until I see him do something longer than half a season, Kyler Murray's a bum. Every year like clockwork. Somewhere between week 8 and week 11, Kyler Murray goes to complete crap. Why Call of Duty and Modern Warfare came out? Well, let's see. You know what's funny about this first place schedule? We're not playing one of the division winners. We're supposed to play outside your division. You play the 2 divisions you're supposed to, and every division winner. That's what the first place schedule is supposed to be, is what I heard. Yes, Corey, 100%. The team not to sleep on is Houston. And hello, Ralph Williams. Good to see you, my brother. Great job last night on Fire Up. That was a lot of fun. Boy, you get heated when you talk about your Pirates and about Mike Tomlin. Yeah, the Houston Texans are a team not to sleep on, but you can't take the cream. The Dan Campbell said it best the other year when he was asked about this, about the soft schedule he had that year coming in and the hard knocks. Remember that? He goes, "Well, you cannot sleep on the teams you're supposed to beat because any given Sunday you can be beat, just like you can win on any given Sunday. So you have to be on your game. You have to play your game." Mediocre Mike. Oh, I love you, Ralph. Still a successful coach, but yes, it's an exercise in mediocrity. You can't be amazing for X amount of time and then go and fall apart. Oh man, I just described somebody else's coaching career that used to be in this very organization at one time. An ex an exercise in mediocrity. And every fan gives him way more credit. I was very hard on him. I hated the signing when we got him because I thought it was a safe hire, and that was Jim Caldwell. And it had nothing to do with anything other than what I saw. Him and his coaching staff had a Lamborghini of a defense. Oh, I know. I know. I remember hearing all about it. Oh, man. Jim Caldwell took that Lamborghini of a defense that Schwartz and Mayhew and Millen put, or Mayhew and who was the other guy? I can't remember, but it was another M name. Those 3 guys built a defensive roster that was amazing. And when it came time to sign people, they let everybody walk and turned that Lamborghini into a Yugo. Right. Jim Caldwell, good offensive coordinator, great QB coach. poor head coach. 100%. Oh, I understand that there's a lot of excitement there with the Indianapolis Colts, but until I see Anthony Richardson last an entire season, um, well, he was never suspended to begin with. That's the first ruling. The ruling was there's enough that they can take him to court, so there's enough of it to be enough proof that there was domestic violence done. And they're trying to be stiffer on domestic violence because they're tired of the NFL getting a black eye every time they give somebody 3 games here or 4 games there, but want to suspend people for a season for gambling. So he got suspended for 8 games as the first decision by the NFL. And that was for the same thing that he got dismissed by the Lions. Another overrated QB is Terry Bradshaw with the running game and excellent receivers and a great defense. I'm just saying. Yeah, I know his people don't look past anything other than results. No, Caldwell was released with the coaching staff in Carolina. Yeah, Jim Caldwell was the assistant coach in Carolina with Frank Reich. They were all released. Now it's Dave Canales, who is a QB whisperer. And as much as I hate to say it, you might see an improvement out of Bryce Young with Dave Canales here. He is one of those guys that gets the best out of guys. Look at what he did with Death of Slim Shady just dropped. What? I think it's because he's going by Eminem now. He's not gonna use Slim Shady anymore. But anyways, where was I at? Bryce Young may improve greatly because Dave Canales was the QB coach in Seattle that made Geno Smith look good again. He goes to Tampa. Baker Mayfield. Everybody called him washed and he was garbage. Resurrects his career. Now he's the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He gets to work hand in hand with Bryce Young. Don't be surprised if the Panthers are better than everybody thinks. That's all I want to say. I'm not trying to overhype it, but Dave Canales is the reason those two QBs resurrected their careers and got paid. And is he going to be a good head coach? I don't know. But he is a great QB coach and a good offensive coordinator. Oh, Jim McMahon 100% was overrated. They had one good wide receiver and Walter Payton to fall back on. And then that defense, Richard Dent, William the Fridge Perry, Mike Singletary. God, that was a nasty defense. Pardon me. One of the best defenses to ever play the game and doesn't get enough credit is the 77 Falcons. Even though they had a horrible team record, that defense was nasty. It's not talked about because they didn't have the team results. But had they won their last game, that defense probably would have pushed them all the way to the Super Bowl. They lost on a field goal that beat them by 2 points. Think about that. They only gave up or what was it? We read 12.9 points per game. They didn't even give up they didn't even give up. Yep. Big Daddy Dan Hampton. And don't forget, Dan Hampton, after he left there at one time, was a Lion for a minute, if I remember right. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I heard about that too. Jim McMahon's kid was a QB at Pitt and never panned out, transferred out. Haven't heard anything further. I think he went to a Division 2 or 3 school, and then he ended up being a backup. There's sometimes when the pedigree just isn't that good, and that's all I got to say. And then there's other times where a mediocre QB or player has a kid, and their kid outshines them. Here's another one. Let's look at it this way. Barry Sanders Jr. In high school, he looked every bit as good as his dad and more athletic. He came to the NCAA Division 1 and kind of fell off the planet. Went to his dad's alma mater, had to transfer to Stanford. Went here. And I think he's coaching running backs up at Michigan State now. So that's good for them. Barry Sanders Jr. is right here in Michigan coaching. Man, but if yes, yes. One of the best NFL songs ever, the Super Bowl Shuffle. Ted Williams' kid couldn't hit a beach ball. No, you're not wrong. The 2000 defense of the Ravens, the 2005 Ravens. Um, I got the 2014-15 Lions as one of the best out there. That's just me. Um, there's many. There's some. The '72 Dolphins had a great defense. The Steel Curtain, the Four Horsemen, and Paul Krause. Those guys in the early '70s. God, you're talking about some amazing defenses. And there was a plethora of things wrong with that Dallas game. The Pettigrew missed PI call was just the icing on the cake. We had Zach Zenner come in, a undrafted free agent, because Joik Bell and Reggie Bush and company and everybody else was battered and bruised and on the sideline or in the medical tent. And that kid in the first half had, what was it, 8 carries, 77 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I think the 2005 or 2004-5 Steelers defense, you could push them into the top 15 all time easily without hesitation. I don't know about top 10. That Colts defense, the one that beat the Bears, that was a damn good defense. Purple People Eater is a cool nickname. Yep. It was a cool enough nickname that somebody wrote a song back then in the late 60s, early 70s about it. It was a one-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater. And every time somebody talks about how great a corner is or how great a safety is, I go back and I say they're not better than Paul Krause. That was not a passing league then. They played 12 games and he had 81 career interceptions. Until somebody surpasses that mark, there is no greater defensive back in history. I remember the Colts having Bob Sanders and Dwight Freeney causing havoc, and then unsung hero at defensive tackle then too. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but that guy was one of the reasons why Dwight Freeney was so good, because they ran a 3-4 defense. Man, it was amazing to watch those guys. And it didn't hurt they had Peyton Manning at quarterback in his prime before the neck injury. I'm 100% about my fans. I make my show less about me and more about my fans, and I've done that my entire time I was a podcaster. I will continue to do it that way because it makes things more fun. Yeah, Robert Mathis, that's the guy. And Bob Sanders was a beast. The problem with Bob Sanders after that Super Bowl year, he just could not stay on the field. Yep, 12 interceptions his rookie season. And it wasn't a passing league then, so you had to be on your game to get that many interceptions in a season. It's great. I'll talk about Mekhi Wingo again on Monday. Let's talk about him because it's fun. Mekhi Wingo's trajectory from the SEC to the NFL draft board underscores a DT with undeniable disruptiveness and a motor that doesn't quit. His tape is a clinic in backfield penetration, showcasing a defensive tackle who can shoot gaps with explosive bursts and consistently disrupt the pocket. Wingo's lateral agility and high motor make him a nightmare for offensive linemen, offering scheme versatility as a gap shooter and a run stuffer. However, transitioning to the NFL spotlight, he'll need to bulk up his pass rush toolbox and sharpen his hand combat to counter the advanced techniques of professional offensive linemen. Despite an effective bull rush and a solid anchor against the run, Wingo's limited size and arm length raise questions to his ability to stack and shed against the size and power of against prevalent NFL trenches. The critiques on Wingo's draft evaluation often circle back to his dimensions and how they might cap his effectiveness against the more imposing interior O lines of the NFL. Success at the next level will require him not to just rely on his first step quickness, but to develop a deeper repertoire of pass rush moves and more sophisticated hand uses to disengage and penetrate. His high energy play style and ability to occupy blockers are pluses. Yet his path to becoming a staple in NFL defensive rotation hinges on him mastering the nuances of interior D-line play. Teams considering Wingo will have to balance his immediate impact as a rotational player with the developmental curve needed to turn him into an every down force. Even with today's longer skate, I don't think anyone will break his career records, especially his rookie season. Trayvon Diggs got the closest at 11 that in recent history. And that's with 17 games, guys. The quarterbacks are better now than they used to be. They don't make as many bad passes. Yes, there's quarterbacks making bad passes all the time, but it's not as prevalent as it was back then. So let's talk about weak eye strengths. Exhibits explosive first step quickness and lateral direction skills, enabling an effective gap penetration and play disruption. Utilizes high motor and relentless pursuit of the ball, playing with significant urgency across all game aspects. Capable of leveraging his compact build to navigate multiple gaps, providing scheme versatility. Shows promise pass rush potential with active hands, building an array of counter moves. Strong at the point of attack, with the ability to anchor down against run plays, showing good hand usage to shed blocks at the college level. His bull rush was highlighted as the primary weapon, underpinning his ability to push linemen back and apply interior pressure. Offers a unique blend of strength and agility, effective in executing stunts and taking on double teams to free up teammates. Brings added value on special teams, particularly in kick block units, due to his size, speed, and power. Weaknesses: lacks a full arsenal of pass rushing techniques. Struggles with consistency in play finish and production, particularly in creating pressure and sacks. Can be neutralized by more powerful guards, double teams, indicating a need for improved strength and leverage. His undersized stature for an NFL defensive tackle may hinder his ability to control gaps at the point of attack. While agile, he shows limitations in lateral mobility affecting his ability to pursue plays on the edges. So that's it. That's everything in a nutshell on Mekhi Wingo. Now, John Macaroon of Sports Illustrated said that he sees that he could be an all pro or a Pro Bowl level defensive tackle by year 3, which tells me that development is needed. But John Macaroon, some of the things he said when he talks about projections of a player's future, no matter what team he writes about, and he does write a lot about the Lions because he is a Lions fan, his accuracy is less than 50%. So while I like the guy, Night Train Lane, I thought he had an interception record in a shortened season. Um, I don't think it was more than that. Let's see. I just want to look. Um, According to this, Night Train Lane has during the 12 game era has 14 interceptions, and that was his rookie year. The injury short. Hmm, it's weird. Was he drafted and didn't play his rookie season then? I'm gonna have to look him up on Wikipedia because I think that might be what it is. Nope, he was an undrafted rookie in 52. Why is he not given the record then? Because the record book says Paul Krause. Yeah. Night Train has the record. May not be in the books, but according to the stats, he has the record. But man, what a career. What a career for Paul Krause. 81 is the mark for career interceptions. And yes, we talk about him a lot because we're from Burton. Dad could have graduated from Bendel, where Paul Krause graduated from. My niece and my nephew graduate. Both of my nephews and my niece graduated from Bendel. You know, Paul Krause's name is everywhere at that school. He was a smart safety, 100%. Mm-mm-mm. So yes, Corey, you're right. Night Train has the record for rookies with 14 and two less games because there was two less games played. Yes. 27 days till the first preseason game. Hallelujah. It's almost the wait is almost over. I thought the first game was the Hall of Fame game on the 4th of August. Am I right? That'd be 27? Yeah, that'd be 27. Okay. But what I'm more excited about is the regular season. Don't get me wrong, preseason football is great for evaluation, but regular season football is it. And the first two games are extended preseason games. Yes, Corey. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me because I like it. But 81 is the career interception record. That cannot be disputed. So what do you guys want to talk about? What did you think about what I read? And the reason why everybody says 3 years is because Mekhi does have to learn stuff. Right now, I have him possibly at DT4. Um, in the defensive end room, Ricky, you're gonna want to go back and rewatch it. I read the Mekhi Wingo profile and did his strength and weaknesses because there was more there. Giovanni Manu's profile, I basically had to. I took excerpts and stuff from everybody's stuff, put it together, and made it my own. But Giovanni's, I literally had to write it myself because there really wasn't a draft profile out there. I couldn't go back and do anything. I had to watch game film and give my own strengths and weaknesses for Manu. Um, yeah, it started at about the 30-minute mark when I did it. Oh, I am so happy that training camp's almost here. Some real news will be coming out. I'll be able to talk some actual news stuff because I got to depend on you guys to throw stuff my way right now because the news is so slow. Cam Sutton getting suspended, the unfortunate news of Isaiah Hazel, Kyrie Jackson, and Anthony Litton Jr. over Saturday. That's the type of news you really don't want to have to report, but they happen. Cam Sutton, well, he hit his girlfriend. He got what he deserved. No matter what, if it was strangulation or not, if any of that happened, it doesn't matter. The fact that the NFL did the right thing and suspended him for a proper amount when if you bet on a sport outside of football in an NFL facility will get you up to 4 to 6 games, domestic violence should be 8 games. What was my assessment on Manu? Like Mekhi Wingo, I think he will be a good to great player in 2 to 3 years. I'm not saying elite, I'm not saying Pro Bowl caliber or all pro. I'm not John Macaroon. I'm not making a bold statement here and trying to go off the rails and get clicks. But what I did see is he's a little too upright, but he has massive strength. He hit 33 on in one pro day and 34 according to somebody else. So either way, that's massive strength. His 4.9640 and his 33 and a half inch vert puts him in the top 15% of offensive tackles that have ever been tested. Um, Corey Patterson, I'll get into that in a little bit. I want to finish on Manu here. Matter of fact, let me pull it up because I did actually write it and send it to myself so I can have it here. Um, he made the All Canadian team his rookie year, even though there are slight rule differences making him raw and unpolished, but will develop into a solid to great offensive tackle just on sheer size alone. Looks like one massive hulking type of man. He had 1,100 snaps without giving a sack his final year at left tackle. when he learns his hand usage NFL style. Because right now he has a tendency to, because of his size, he drives people to the ground, and he needs to work on that leverage and getting low so he can keep his center of balance so he doesn't fall on top of defenders as often. Because if he doesn't get off them right away, it may lead to unwarranted holding penalties. His strengths and his athleticism re- leaps off the page, though. That was my assessment on Manu, Braylon. I hope you like it. I hope you. So he needs to work on his hands usage. He doesn't really place them outside the pads. He keeps them where he is. But he locks in on a defender so long that when they start to fall, he goes with them because he's upright. His center of balance isn't good. And against stronger NFL defensive linemen, that may get him pushed back a few times. And, they said the same thing about a certain defensive tackle that we drafted in the late third, damn near fourth round last year, Broderick Martin. He needs to develop that lower center of gravity. But the problem is that when Broderick got here, I call it like I see it. He was a fat body. He had a dad bod. He had a big spare tire. He doesn't have that now. Now he has that lower center of gravity, and we're seeing that because he took a lot of first team snaps in OTAs. Yes, Doug Michael Rosine, you are absolutely right. Haley can coach him up more than we can imagine. Imagine Michelangelo had learned how to hold a pencil without it being a penalty. That's great. Um, but at the 30-minute mark, I gave my Mekhi Wingo assessment. I also went over his strengths and weaknesses because there was more to go over. There was more information for me to find about Wingo. There's a lot more game film. There's not a lot of Canadian College Football League film out there to watch as far as game film. So I had to go and watch about 18 different highlight reels, and then I had to find a low light reel because I wanted to see his weaknesses. The all Canadian team sounds like an all American soccer team. Probably wouldn't win a beer league tournament. Oh man, +1 to Detroit fan man. Speaking of which, since badminton and table tennis are in the Olympics, why don't they add in billiards? If I can drink beer doing it, and I mean while I'm actually doing the sport, you might as well put bowling in there. You might as well put yeah, bowling used to be an Olympic sport, people, at one time. It was that popular. But billiards, bowling, and pub darts. We might as well have them all. And yes, the Irish or the English would kick our ass every time in pub darts because they play it that drunk. A rousing round of cricket. And I'm not talking about the baseball game. Wait, it's not a baseball game, it's cricket. I I get sick of the Olympic two-man foosball. Go USA. Whoa, is pickleball in the Olympics yet? No, not yet, but I have the feeling it will be. It might be replaces tennis because it's so fast. Because tennis hasn't been in for a few years, Olympics now, if I remember right. And if it is in there, I apologize. Brent DeWitt, late to this party as usual. Howdy, everyone. Brent DeWitt, I did the Mekhi Wingo profile at the 30-minute mark, and I went over the Manu draft profile because Braylon Dennis asked me because he missed the show yesterday. So from the 30-minute mark on, you get 2 draft profiles. So when you go back and rewatch it, you can get it. But it's great to see you guys here. Salute, sir. I'm so happy to be doing this though. You guys don't understand how great it is to have a nice active chat because that for me, it's gold. When I have guests and the other people on, I know that some people say they don't like it as much because they don't get to hear my opinion. Those shows are for the fans. I do those shows for them. I want their opinions. I want to hear what they say. I want to hear what people outside of our team's fan base, especially on Wednesdays on that NFL show. It is great to hear stuff from other fan bases and how they perceive our team looking in. And I always tell everybody my NFL Roundtable Talk show, that is not a trash talk show. I don't want people bashing every team right off the rip. If it's a horrible team and you have a joke to make about a horrible team, that's fine. But just remember, the Packers drafted Tony Mandarich over Barry Sanders. That is your fuel for Packer fans because that in itself is just as bad as Terry Fair over Randy Moss or Eric Ebron over Aaron Donald. Just saying. That is your fuel for fire. My ex's dad used to say that watching tennis was like watching noodles boil. He was a basketball coach. You're right. Pickleball is a lot more exciting because it's a smaller field and a lot of things happen. I think it's 13-4. We're gonna lose to one of the teams we shouldn't do because we do it every year. I same old Lions is dead, but because Lions is alive and well, as Dom has pointed out. But at the same time, Texans at Chicago and possibly either as much as I say it's either going to be at San Francisco or it's going to be week 18 because we have the one seed locked up. It's one of those two games is going to be a loss. I'm not saying at San Francisco because of the weather. At Chicago is. But I got the Texans, Chicago, and San Francisco in my mind as teams we're going to struggle with just because of how they play. And you're talking about at the end of the season versus earlier in the season for Chicago. It'll be that second game on a Thursday night. We'll lose a game in prime time. We lose one game in prime time over the past two seasons. It's what we do. I don't know why it happens that way, but we lose one in prime time every year that we shouldn't lose. But at the same time, when we played Green Bay, we were missing Decker and Ragnow in the lineup, and the O line paid like crap. Goff had no time back there that second half, none whatsoever. But yet, we still managed to get 9 points on the board. Nah, FTP. I love you, Detroit fan, man. But it is that time for me to go over our sponsors. And cons- considering Fornicate the Packers for the Pride is number one at FTP. They don't even pay me a dime, but I just love doing it. And of course, there's my favorite paid sponsor. Why? Because they not only pay me to put this ad up here, but they pay me every week. Uh, they pay me every week because I work there. It's Brandon Service at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road, 602 West Atherton Road, right here in Flint, Michigan, where the water's shit, but the tires are good. Used tires starting at $40, and New tires, call and get your quote 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself. This is the 1963 Rolls-Royce Silver Phantom in that Cadillac pearlescent white, but it's all original except for the paint. If they trusted us to work on a $500,000 car value, we can work on anybody's car. At Chicago, at Green Bay, at Houston, and maybe Dallas. I think this is the year we get Dallas. Dan Campbell has circled that game heavily. He circled Chicago coming here in week 4 heavily. I think this is the year we get over those humps. And next year in 2025-26 season, hallelujah, Dallas comes to Detroit. That's already been announced. Dallas comes to Detroit. After 3 straight years of going down there and suffering heartbreaking losses, Bradley Allen will never forgive you. They finally come back to Detroit. I can't wait. It's been my pleasure to talk with you gentlemen today. Thank you for watching Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. For my sponsor, Brandon Service, the networks that I'm into, YouTube, Huddle Up Sports on Roku and Fire Stick, Twitter, and Facebook. I bid you all adieu. Dallas at Detroit next year. Yes. But thank you for watching, gentlemen. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. I say Brad Allen rest week 1. Who gets booed more, him or the Stafford kids? It would be Bradley Allen. But have a great day, everybody. It's time for me to get to work.
Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.